This video is an addendum to my 2019 Capture Mission Racing tier list, which I called DriftFrame. If you haven't seen that yet, you can find it linked below. Now, behold, I'm moving Khora up from D tier to C tier, for the very simple reason that she was the one oversight I made when drawing up the tier list in the first place. Other addendums will be about things I've changed my mind about, or shifts in our metagame, but this one is just about completeness and correcting my mistake. Khora gets a passive speed increase while Venari is active, and it's not that fast, but it does scale with strength, and because it's totally passive, it requires absolutely no energy or regard for efficiency or duration. The base value is 15%, so that's like Equinox's Dayform Metamorphosis buff. In other words, not too fast, but again, since it's totally passive, you'll have it pretty much all the time. Even if Venari somehow dies within these extremely short mission times, you can just activate your third ability to instantly revive your cat and continue going fast. You can see the speed multiplier that it's referring to in this tooltip, that 1.48x. That's the passive speed increase. So Khora is stronger on longer tracks where she doesn't have to worry about running out of gas, and her respectable base sprint speed doesn't hurt either. She's perhaps the very easiest frame to pilot that's still meaningfully fast, so that's a reason to pick her as well, but she's particularly unlikely to beat any of the higher tier frames, because she doesn't really have anything up her sleeve. They're just the same as her, but faster. It's almost like Khora just has her base sprint speed scaling with strength mods, which is good, but not too crazy. I have two other things to say. The first is a complaint, and the second is an announcement. Let's start with the complaint, and I'll just let you look at this irritating of our agile animation while we talk about it. My complaint is that a few people who correctly caught my mistake in the main video proceeded to insist that Khora was the fastest frame in the game. Something similar happened with a lot of other frames, and I really have trouble understanding how these discussions keep cropping up. To give you another example, a lot of people mentioned Tavier Corsair's excellent content on Nyx, and mentioned how the arcane helmet that gives Nyx increase in parkour velocity made her the fastest frame in the game. Well, no, it doesn't. I demonstrated in the video exactly how fast Nyx is with that arcane helmet, and you know that she's not the fastest because I showed you. So it's a little bit puzzling that people would yet still claim that she was the fastest. Again, Khora's speed is literally a number, so it's not up for debate how fast she is. She's just math. The math tells us that, at least compared to other frames whose speed is pretty much just math, she's in C tier. During the video, I mentioned that Equinox's speed buff, Metamorphosis Dayform speed buff, was a 15% base value that scaled with strength, so as long as you looked up what Khora's speed buff was, you would immediately know that she is the same speed as that. I'm frustrated that these commenters didn't simply look up what her speed value was, since that's the very thing they were accusing me of missing, the very thing I failed to do. I know that the most likely reasons this happens are that they either once saw someone go very fast with Khora or whatever frame outside the context of any other frame, and their limited game knowledge, combined with a lack of any reason to value thoroughness, led them to fly off the handle and confidently claim that the only example they'd seen was definitely the fastest. I think this is what happens with Nyx most of the time, for example, Rhino. Or they wanted to tell a YouTuber that their video was wrong because catching a professional making a mistake feels good if you have no worthwhile talents of your own, since it makes you feel like the gap between yourself and that professional is smaller and you're not really missing much. I guess I'm not very charitable to people that want to show off their knowledge on a subject when they aren't willing to engage with that subject. Simply watching my tier list would tell you that Khora would be in C tier if you listen to anything that I said at all, and yet nobody said that. But of course, that's not why these kinds of people comment. Again, if you were the kind of person who thought about it at all, you just wouldn't say something like that in that way in the first place. Now, I wasn't born yesterday, and I know that this is how the internet is most of the time. Handling stuff like this in a productive way is my job, and I read and ignore hundreds of comments like this every day. It's not that I am too sensitive or need to get tougher skin or whatever, not that most of you usually say stuff like that. It's just that I think it's sometimes useful to highlight how outlandishly stupid and self-contradictory something like this is to deter it and promote more productive discussion. Many of my best ideas are inspired by all of you, so I don't like to waste time with pointless stuff like this, and what I've just been trying to explain is sort of the maxim behind a lot of these lesser informed comments. Most of you are fantastic about stuff like this, which is why I'm even bothering to say this. I respect you enough to expect better from the other people in the community, although of course most of the people listening to me at this point are not those people. I expect better from people that enjoy what I make, just as you can expect better from me, because missing Khora's speed boost was a pretty silly mistake. So, okay, for those of you that were willing to listen through that, my announcement is that we're racing again soon. I'm going to use these addendums and other supplementary videos to schedule races, so when you see me posting racing content on this channel, you'll know to check for a scheduled racing stream. I'll always leave the date and time in the description and in a pinned comment. I think that scheduling races this way is a good fit because it gives you all a little time to prepare and allows us to race with some additional videos that we've sort of been discussing DriftFrame in a certain way, and that will evolve our metagame in a certain way. So for example, with this video, we've seen, that Khora is faster than I gave her credit for in the main video, so we'll see how much more play she gets, since I'm sure I'm not the only person who didn't notice she has a passive speed buff from Venari. My hope is that scheduling races this way will help evolve our metagame over time and generate exciting new racing tech. I think there's a lot more to be found. I'm looking forward to racing with you all. Stay tuned for more DriftFrame stuff.